Right then, Manchester United are back in action tomorrow evening against Real Sociedad in the Europa League. We've had our fill of fun for now. We are about to hit that Thursday, Sunday grind. Yep. But Real Sociedad are the first visitors to Old Trafford, and they've actually got a pretty decent record, actually. This season, they're currently in ninth. They've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 1. They got the young striker that was really banging the goals in for them, has gone missing. Not really that missing, I guess, because he's been sold to Newcastle for 63 million. United have kept a clean sheet in our last 4 matches against Real Sociedad in all competitions. They drew 1-1 with Atletico Madrid at the weekend. Their only defeat so far was an absolute battering of Barcelona, where they lost 4-1. How do they play? They build up from the defence, as you would expect with a Spanish team. Very archetype, but it's a very positionally set sort of approach. The players occupy designated zones, creates angles and certain distances to defend, to stretch the opposition's shape. It's interesting, actually. They have actually mixed up how they play it, and they've switched between 4-3-3 and a 4-4-2 diamond at times. Both tactics work the same way. The principles don't really change, just sometimes the shape that they occupy does. But they're looking to try and progress the ball under control. That's what they're all about. So the centre-backs are going to split, the full-backs are going to pull wide on both sides. Defensive midfielder is going to occupy the space in between the opposition midfield and attack. And they're going to sort of have their attacking midfielders kind of pull a little bit wide to stretch the opposition midfield, making the pitch as big as possible, trying to create angles, trying to create space when they do it. And they're going to look to try and play the ball on the floor. They're going to try and play it through the lines. They like sort of having a couple of number 10s that they can try and really create with. And they like to be able to combine that with their strikers. If the midfield is congested, they'll use the fullbacks to try and do the same sort of thing, where they're going to try and play the football on the floor, and then they're going to attack the box on the floor. Defensively, they press high, they press aggressively. It's very coordinated, and it's actually quite fluid, and it's pretty good, in all honesty. Their aim is simple. Their style of play is known, and their method of doing it should be familiar to everyone watching any sort of level of modern football at the moment. Compact the space around the ball, flood it with bodies, try and win the ball as high as you can, and pack the centre, force the opposition wide. There's a lot of basic principles, but they do it generally effectively. I'm going to butcher all of these names. I do apologise. Starting 11 that I think they'll go with: Ramiro in net, Elizondo, fucking hell, Zubeldia, Normand, Munoz, Mendes, Zubimendi, Marino, David Silva, Cho, and Sadiq. And I think the star man for them is likely to be Martin Zubimendi. Probably one of the better young midfielders in La Liga, and there's a lot of competition for that as well. But it looks like he's really coming into his own this season. A really good ball player, very technical, very press resistant, loves to carry the ball. All-round defensive ability and awareness and tactical understanding are really high, very high IQ footballer in the Liga this season. Number 2 for tackles in these defensive third, number 5 for interceptions in the opponent's half. Very, very good player. He's the anchor in the defense. He'll be the 6, and he'll be pivotal whether a Sociedad go on and get a result. United might dominate the ball a little bit in this. It depends on the 11 United go with. If they go with a rotated 11, and I've selected a rotated 11, they could dominate the ball because they want to play out and they want to hold possession. They don't mind holding possession deep, and they won't go very forward very quickly. If they allow Manchester United to get on top in the game and dominate the ball, they'll be very compact. United should be able to attack through their lines against them, though. If you can beat this guy, United are going to really rack up the points, I think, in this one. He rarely makes runs from the second line or touches the ball in the final third. He's very much there as a screen, a bit of a safety player. He stays deep. He's the sort of first line of defense if you get countered. And he is their safe option to move the ball from side to side. Let's say an attack breaks down, they turn, they look for him, they give him the ball, and they're going to move it to the opposite side. He usually plays alongside Marino and David Silva in midfield. Both of them are much more offensive-minded, so Zubimendi is there to balance what they're doing, be the screen, allow them to be the creative dictators, and he sits off and chills. He's definitely one to watch. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the possession, to be honest. Match winner for United is really going to depend entirely on the 11. It could be Cristiano Ronaldo, who I expect starts. It could be any other number of players on the pitch. Now, there's a chance Anthony plays to get minutes. And if Anthony plays, I expect United to line up as follows. Dubravka in net, perfect opportunity. You're not putting De Gea's nose out of joint by starting him. You get to see what he's like. You could go with Wan-Bissaka at fullback on the right and Shaw at left back with Maguire and Lindelof, giving you an entirely changed back four, giving your Premier League squad, which has been selected virtually identically every single week, a very important night off. You bring Casemiro in, and I would love to see Casemiro alongside Zidane. I don't know about you lot. In the hole, Donny van de Beek, give the guy an opportunity. And then Elanga and Ronaldo. If it's Anthony, obviously it's Anthony on the right, Elanga on the left. If it's not Anthony, he goes, you know what, Anthony's going to be playing Sunday and I want him fully rested instead. You might see Elanga off the right and Garnacho off the left. That's an exciting side. It's a fully rotated 11, which is mental. That shows the sort of strength in depth. Now, there's question marks. Yeah, Luke Shaw, question mark. Harry Maguire, after what we saw at the weekend, massive question mark. Wan-Bissaka, bereft of confidence, probably a question mark. But Casemiro in there, Ronaldo in there, Anthony in there, Dubravka in there. There's still some character, there's still some leadership, and there's still enough to get the job done. And you know what? Even if we bollocks it up, it's the first game of the Europa League. I don't really give a shit about the competition anyway. Rather focus on the Premier League. That is where we will be judged, and that's where I want to see us do it. But if we're going to go with a fully rotated 11, give some of these lads the opportunity to stake a claim for playing in the first team. This is how we're going to beat them. 1, wide areas. We've been quite fruitful in the wide areas so far this season, and that's usually the kryptonite for a diamond formation, which is what I think they'll probably end up going with against United. Play with width, create 2v1s with their fullbacks, attack with speed. Wan-Bissaka on the right might minimise the ability for us to do that, particularly if it's Anthony that he's linking up with. But you got to stretch out their wide midfielders. That should open up the middle for the likes of Zidane, Casemiro, Donny van de Beek to be able to play through if they start having to go and try and double up with their fullbacks, because you're putting them under pressure in those areas. And then you can attack centrally, where I think you could be very effective. Secondly, you got to stop David Silva. And I think Casemiro against David Silva, I'm cool with that. That's not a drama, I don't think. But he is getting a bit long in the tooth, but the quality of him is eternal. The touch will be flawless. He will want to have a good showing on his return back to Manchester. And technically, he's one of the best players we ever saw in the Premier League. That's not going anywhere. I expect everything in the final third will be funneled through him. And Casemiro versus Silva could be the matchup to watch in this game. That's how I think it's going to go down. Score prediction-wise, it could go anywhere. What we saw in pre-season with these sort of rotated 11s, though, under Ten Hag, pre-season being aside, was some very, very encouraging performances. And if Ten Hag pitches this right to them, you're not a rotated 11, you're an audition 11 to get back into the first 11, then you might see some very, very strong performances out of Manchester United there. You got a Ronaldo with a point to prove. You got a Casemiro with a point to prove. You've got youngsters that are coming in to try and take people's positions, and you've got the former captain, or current club captain, actually, I think it'd be fair to say, looking to try and stake a claim to get back into the first team. Whether or not we think he's capable of doing that, at least in his head, he's going to need to think he needs to do that. World Cup places at risk for the likes of him and Shaw. I think Wan-Bissaka is probably a little bit done for that. But there's lots of opportunities here for people to sort themselves out for the World Cup, but also get back into the starting 11 at Manchester United. Go take your opportunities, lads. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.